My name is Josiah Ray. That's Josiah, and last name's Ray. I think right now the most common misconception is that there's diabetes is a single disease, when in reality there are multiple types of diabetes that affect people differently. The hardest part of having diabetes is, I think, on the other side of the coin, is having to always be on top of your health and dietary habits. That's can be really difficult, especially for people who didn't do that before. There were a couple people who I'm close to that were diagnosed with diabetes, and several different people, and I saw a common factor for them is that misconceptions affected they were treating their own illness, and I saw that how poorly misconceptions can affect people's lives. I think Endocrinecredible can benefit the community by limiting misconceptions among the public, making it easier on everyone, but also whenever people are diagnosed, they'll already know a bit about what diabetes is, and it'll make that whole process easier. I think young people view diabetes largely as a disease that only obese people suffer from or old people suffer from, which is, of course, not true. The hardest thing about my diagnosis was having to learn about how to treat it, because I didn't have the resources that I needed from my doctor or from the people around me, because they didn't know what diabetes was either. So right now the purpose of Endocrinecredible is to give those resources to people who need them. Right now it's just through virtual resources, but hopefully in the future that will be actually going out and educating people about what diabetes is. I would say that diabetes is a learning process, and that there are going to be times whenever your diabetes isn't controlled, and that's part of being a better diabetic and having better control over your health overall. So obviously diabetes can have a negative impact on your health in the long run, but because of the resources I've gathered and the community I'm now exposed to, I hope to have a very good relationship with my health. As for the community that I've mentioned, having diabetes opens you up to a community of other diabetics, and that can encourage you to be on top of your health and relationship with other people.
Good.
My name is Jessica Smith, Jessica Smith, Smith.
What is your relation to Josiah?
Josiah is my son, so I'm his mom. The most common misconception about diabetes is that it's a lifestyle disease and it can be avoided. That and that you can't eat sugar if you have diabetes. Unexpected pro for diabetes for Josiah has been camp. He loves camp. He looks forward to it every year, and I look forward to giving him that opportunity. The hardest part about diabetes is just how much it changes your life. You can't eat normally without taking a shot or injecting insulin. It's just a total life disruption. Well, Endocrinecredible, which is Josiah's website, is there for education, and I think if people would visit the website and take some time to look through the materials, they'd learn a lot about both type 1, type 2, and other types of diabetes out there. I think young people view diabetes as something that my grandma has. I hear that a lot, and I don't think they realize there's a difference in types of diabetes and how much ability you still have after you have the disease. I think a lot of people just think, oh, it means you can't have sugar anymore, you have to watch what you eat, and as far as type 1 diabetes goes, which is what Josiah has, that's not the case at all. As a parent, the hardest thing has been anxiety over being able to provide his medicine. The price of insulin right now is really ridiculous. So there have been moments since diagnosis where I wasn't sure what we were going to do that next month to make sure he had his medicine. The scariest moment actually happened a couple years into diagnosis, in the middle of the night when I heard Josiah calling me, and of course I was asleep, but I woke up to come to him, and he was on the floor in the living room, and he couldn't get up. He could barely call out to me, and his blood sugar had dropped really low in the night, and that was scary because I could tell that he wasn't himself, and it was just really scary. And I remember just putting juice bottles in his face, like, here, drink them, until he felt better, and that was scary. In the future, I think Josiah's gonna have to be really careful about making sure he doesn't let his health insurance lapse, making sure he always is prepared. I know that's one thing as a child he always kind of struggled with, was forgetting his diabetes bag. So just as an adult, he has to be more mindful of that, because he's not going to have me around to remind him, or me around to make sure he has his medication every month. So he's just going to have to be responsible and really hunker down. It would be that it gets better. At first, when you're first diagnosed, it's really scary. But everything kind of smooths out, and you kind of get into the groove of things, and it's not always as scary as it is in the beginning.